We've all been told the same thing since we were teenagers. If you want to be a real man, you need to get the girl, chase her, impress her, win her over. Movies showed us the hero relentlessly pursuing the woman until she finally says yes. Songs glorified the man who wouldn't give up. Our friends measured our worth by the women we could attract. But here's what nobody warned you about. The more you chase women, the more your confidence disappears. And it's not just a feeling or some abstract idea. Psychology actually explains why this happens at a deep neurological level. Across the world, men are waking up to a painful truth. The pursuit that was supposed to make them feel like winners is quietly turning them into someone they don't even recognize. They started chasing, thinking it would prove their masculinity. Instead, they ended up anxious, exhausted, and wondering where their self-respect went. So what's really going on inside your brain when you chase? Why does pursuit feel so necessary yet leave you feeling so empty? And most importantly, why could stepping back actually transform you into the most confident version of yourself? Let's break it down. There are solid psychological reasons why chasing women destroys your sense of self-worth. Psychologist Robert Glover, author of No More Mr. Nice Guy, explains that men who seek validation through women often lose touch with their authentic selves. They become performers rather than people. Research on attachment theory shows that anxious pursuit behavior actually rewires your brain to feel inadequate. The very act of chasing programs your mind to believe you're not enough as you are. Today I'm going to share 5 reasons why chasing women is silently killing your confidence. And some of these might completely change how you approach attraction, relationships, and your own self-worth. Every time you alter your behavior to impress a woman, you send a dangerous message to your subconscious. You're telling yourself that who you are isn't enough, that you need her approval, her attention, her validation to feel worthy as a man. This might seem harmless at first. After all, everyone wants to be liked. But the psychological consequences run much deeper than most men realize. Psychologists call this external locus of control. Instead of drawing confidence from within, from your achievements, your values, your character, you become dependent on reactions from others. Your emotional state gets outsourced to people who have no obligation to protect it. The problem is that external validation is inherently unpredictable. One day she responds warmly, laughs at your jokes, shows genuine interest, and you feel on top of the world. The next day she's distant, takes hours to reply, seems disengaged, and suddenly you're questioning everything about yourself. What did I do wrong? Am I not interesting enough? Should I have said something different? This emotional roller coaster isn't just exhausting. It's literally reshaping your neural pathways. Neuroscience research shows that repeated behaviors create stronger synaptic connections. When you consistently tie your emotional state to female attention, your brain starts hardwiring that association. Your self-worth becomes neurologically linked to external approval. Without it, you feel empty, anxious, incomplete. With it, you feel temporarily whole. But that wholeness never lasts because it was never truly yours to begin with. It was borrowed, conditional, dependent on someone else's mood and choices. Men who chase often don't realize they're building a psychological prison brick by brick. Every time they check their phone hoping for her message, every time they feel that spike of anxiety waiting for a response, every time their mood shifts based on her behavior, they're reinforcing their own captivity. The validation they seek becomes the very thing that keeps them feeling inadequate. They hand over the keys to their confidence to someone who never asked for that responsibility and almost certainly doesn't want it. No woman wants to be the source of a man's self-worth. It's too much pressure, too much burden, and ultimately too unattractive. Here's what the self-help gurus won't tell you. When you chase women consistently, you face rejection consistently. And while people love to say that rejection builds character, that you should collect rejections like badges of honor, the psychological reality is far more complicated and far more damaging. Repeated rejection doesn't just bounce off you like water off a stone, it accumulates. It seeps into your subconscious. It shapes the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. Research in social psychology shows that rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Brain scans reveal that being socially rejected lights up the anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that processes physical injury. Your brain literally cannot distinguish between being turned down and being punched in the stomach. Now imagine voluntarily signing up for that pain over and over again. Imagine approaching it as a numbers game, where you expect to lose most of the time. Each rejection chips away at your self-image in ways you might not consciously notice. You start internalizing a narrative. Maybe you're not attractive enough. Maybe you're not successful enough. Maybe you're not tall enough, funny enough, interesting enough. These thoughts don't announce themselves loudly. They whisper. They accumulate. They become background noise that colors every interaction. The man who chases 10 women and gets rejected by 8 doesn't walk away with 2 victories. He walks away with 8 wounds. 8 moments where someone evaluated him and decided he wasn't worth their time. 8 data points his subconscious uses to build a case against his own worthiness. Over time, rejection stops being something that happens to you. It becomes something you expect. You approach women already bracing for failure because failure is what you've trained yourself to anticipate. Your body language shifts. Your energy changes. You communicate defeat before you even open your mouth. This is why so many men who chase end up with shattered confidence despite following all the advice. They've unintentionally programmed themselves to believe they're not worthy of being chosen. They've made rejection their baseline expectation. And people tend to live up to their expectations, especially the negative ones. A man with a clear purpose moves through life with direction and gravity. He knows what he's building, why it matters, and where he's headed. His days have structure. His efforts have meaning. He wakes up with intention and goes to sleep with satisfaction. This centeredness isn't just attractive to others. It's the foundation of genuine self-confidence. But the moment chasing women becomes a man's primary focus, that center starts to dissolve. Suddenly, his schedule revolves around her availability. He cancels plans with friends, hoping she'll be free. He checks his phone constantly instead of focusing on work. His goals get pushed aside to make room for pursuit. His mental energy, which should be fueling his growth, his career, his health, his creative projects, gets drained by overanalyzing text messages, replaying conversations, and planning the next move to win her attention. The mental real estate consumed by chasing is staggering when you actually measure it. Psychologist Jordan Peterson often discusses how meaning in life comes from responsibility and pursuing something beyond immediate pleasure. Men need a mission. They need something larger than themselves to work toward. When a man sacrifices his mission for romantic pursuit, he doesn't just lose time. He loses himself. He loses the very thing that made him interesting and grounded in the first place. Here's the painful irony. The most unattractive thing a man can do is abandon his purpose for a woman's attention. And women sense this immediately. They can feel when a man has no center, when his identity depends on her response, when he's building his life around the possibility of her rather than the reality of his own path. This creates a destructive cycle that traps countless men. He chases because he wants her interest, but the chasing itself makes him less interesting. He becomes reactive instead of grounded, desperate instead of directed, anxious instead of assured. And his confidence, which once came from knowing who he was and where he was going, now fluctuates wildly based on whether she texted back within an hour or 3. There's an uncomfortable psychological truth about chasing that nobody wants to discuss openly. It filters your dating pool in the worst possible way. The energy of pursuit, of neediness, of trying too hard, acts like a sorting mechanism, but it sorts in reverse. It pushes away the women you actually want and pulls in the ones who will drain you. High-value women, those with self-respect, emotional intelligence, secure attachment styles, and genuine depth, are naturally repelled by desperate pursuit. They sense neediness instantly because they've learned to protect their energy from men who want to take rather than share. A woman who knows her worth recognizes when a man is chasing her for validation rather than genuine connection. She feels the pressure behind his attention. She notices how his energy shifts based on her responses, and she instinctively pulls back because she knows that dynamic leads nowhere healthy. Meanwhile, the women who respond positively to aggressive chasing often have their own psychological patterns at play. Some enjoy the ego boost without any genuine interest in reciprocating. They keep you around for validation while offering nothing real in return. Others are drawn to the power dynamic that chasing creates. They like feeling in control, being the prize, having someone work desperately for their approval. Neither scenario leads anywhere fulfilling. Neither builds the foundation for genuine partnership. Research on attachment styles confirms this pattern with uncomfortable clarity. Anxious chasers tend to attract avoidant partners. The more you pursue, the more you appeal to people who enjoy being pursued but fear actual intimacy. This creates relationships built on imbalance rather than mutual respect. Push and pull, hot and cold. Always feeling like you're reaching for someone who's stepping back. The man who chases ends up in situationships that go nowhere, entanglements that drain his energy, and connections that leave him more confused than fulfilled. The cruel irony is that the behavior meant to secure connection actually sabotages it. By chasing, you filter out exactly the kind of women who would have valued the authentic, grounded, non-desperate version of you. You end up with matches who wanted the performer, not the real person underneath the act. Confidence isn't something you build by seeking approval. It's something you cultivate by becoming, by developing yourself, by standing firm in who you are regardless of external reactions. When a man chases women, he unconsciously adopts a subordinate psychological position. He places her above himself, on some invisible hierarchy. Her attention becomes the prize he's competing for, which automatically means he becomes the one auditioning, performing, trying to prove his worth. This fundamentally disrupts what psychologists call frame control. Your frame is your reality, your sense of self, your internal stability that remains consistent, regardless of what's happening around you. A strong frame means your emotions, your decisions, and your sense of worth don't fluctuate based on external circumstances. You know who you are, whether people approve or not. You feel confident whether she texts back or not. Your foundation is internal, unshakable, built on bedrock rather than sand. Chasing demolishes frame completely. It puts you in reaction mode rather than action mode. You wait for her text to determine whether you'll feel good today. You analyze her behavior obsessively to gauge your own value. You adjust your personality, your opinions, your schedule, hoping she'll approve of the modified version. None of this builds confidence. All of it erodes the masculine groundedness that genuine self-worth requires. You become a man shaped by someone else's preferences rather than your own authentic character. The confident man doesn't chase because he doesn't need to. He understands a fundamental truth that escapes most men. His job isn't to convince women to want him. His job is to build himself into someone genuinely worth choosing, and then let the right people recognize that value. He invests in his health, pushing his physical limits, and building a body that reflects discipline. He develops skills that make him competent and valuable. He pursues purpose that gives his life meaning beyond relationships. He cultivates mental clarity through reflection, learning, and growth. This man becomes magnetic not through pursuit but through presence. He doesn't need to chase because his energy draws people toward him naturally. And when a woman enters his life, she fits into his world rather than becoming his entire world. She adds to an already complete picture rather than filling a desperate void. The man who stops chasing doesn't become passive or indifferent to connection. He becomes selective. He becomes grounded. He becomes someone who values himself enough to require mutual effort and genuine interest. He doesn't abandon the desire for partnership. He redefines it on terms that preserve his dignity and self-respect. He learns that real confidence was never about getting women to want him. It was never about perfecting his approach or finding the right lines to say. It was about building a version of himself that he genuinely respects. A man he can look at in the mirror and feel proud of, regardless of his relationship status. A man whose worth doesn't rise and fall based on female attention. The energy you spend chasing could fuel an empire. The hours lost to anxious waiting could build skills that transform your career. The mental space consumed by pursuit and overanalysis could birth your greatest creative ideas. The validation you desperately seek from others already exists within you, buried under years of conditioning that told you you needed someone else to feel complete. As Marcus Aurelius wrote nearly 2,000 years ago, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." The man who stops chasing and starts building doesn't lose opportunities for connection. He gains something far more valuable than any relationship could provide. He gains himself. He gains unshakable confidence, rooted in who he is, rather than who wants him. He gains freedom from the exhausting cycle of pursuit and rejection. And here's the beautiful paradox. A man who possesses himself fully, who doesn't need anyone's approval to feel worthy, who has built a life he's genuinely proud of, that man will never struggle for attention. Not because he chases, but because he became someone worth choosing. And that makes all the difference. If this video shifted something in your perspective, hit like and subscribe. It only takes a second, but it helps me create more content that actually matters. Thank you for watching.